Turbine Guy coming back at you, heading right down to the federal courthouse in Minneapolis right now to deliver a declaration I put together to update the federal court on what's been going on in Orono since I filed the lawsuit against Orono, the police department, the lawyers, and the Mayor Walsh and Resident Walsh in his private capacity. So we haven't had a hearing date yet. We're waiting to have the hearing date. And in the meantime, a couple of big things have happened. First off, we have a brand new predicate act to slide right into the RICO scheme that's going to extend the statute of limitations from September 21st of this year for another 4 years. So any argument about the statute of limitations in regards to the RICO scheme, which encompasses everything, pretty much moot at this point. And along with that, we also have a First Amendment violation in an attempt to suppress freedom of the press. Yes, they're trying to prevent the Turbine Guy from gaining information. Now, if you remember, I filed the lawsuit in Hennepin County District Court to get information about the Julissa Thayer prosecution conviction from the Orono Police Department. They refused to give it to me. Now, the reason I want to get that information is because the cops, after capturing her with a blown out back window, a car running on rims, blood on her, and supposedly in her car, they don't let her go. They drove her home. So I want to find out how the heck and why the Orono Police Department loosed a murderer into our community after capturing her. I think that's kind of important for all of us in Orono to know. So, it seems to me that the Orono Police Department, Orono attorneys, Orono City Hall are all trying to circle the wagon and protect the police from what may or may not have happened, potential police misconduct. Well, that action wraps right into my federal claim as not only retaliation, First Amendment violation for retaliating against me by not giving the data to me, but it's also suppression of freedom of the press. Because I, the Turbine Guy, made a whole video series about what happened to poor Eli. I have been acknowledged and accepted as media by cat video shows, Freedom Fest, the St. Paul Saints, and yes, even the Hennepin County Government Center. So, if I am press and they're denying me the information so I can report it to you, to me, that is specifically suppressing freedom of the press. Another major event is the Orono City Council approved a couple of variances for my neighbor's property that technically he shouldn't have gotten. So it's interesting how my neighbor, with no conflicts of interest at all, gets his variances approved, but when I put in the property line adjustment that is in the underlying complaint as being unfair, that I'm dealing with several people in the city who have conflicts of interest, people who criminally charged me, who are witnesses against me, started businesses to mirror mine. Oh, geez, I could just go on about what these people have done. But they're all up there voting and ganging up and machinating a denial against me. What's really interesting about this is the defendants, Orono, have argued that, hey, you know what? He doesn't really have any similar cases to argue it to. And the variances that I used of theirs to prove that we're being treated differently don't apply because they're not exactly the same. Well, my overall argument is that the city cannot say that because if everybody in Orono lives in a house and is subject to the same variance process, then we are all similar in that manner. Now we have an example of where the exact same house that we got denied a minor land lot line adjustment from 1 foot at the street to a couple of feet down later was not approved, and yet the very next owner of the house is allowed to knock his house down and build it in a larger footprint than is allowed by code. And to me, that's icing on the cake to support my 14th Amendment and Manel claims that the Nygaards, or Mr. Nygaard, the Turbine Guy, is treated differently by the city of Orono. They have a different process, procedure, and everything when it comes to me. Yay, coming right into downtown Minneapolis now. I'm down in front of the courthouse one more time, ready to deliver my 8-page declaration exhibits along with certificate of mailing up to the counter. Let's get going and get this done. Equal justice under the law. Numero dos. U.S. District Court, District of Minnesota. All right. Plaintiff's declaration of recent predicate act and other recent relevant events have been received October 3rd. Right now that I got that delivered, give the court a call in the morning, try to set up that hearing date. It's going to have to be more than 42 days out because they got 21 days to respond, and I guess I get to have 21 days before the hearing. Something like that. Anyways, Turbine Guy back at it, keeping the court up to date and keeping after that city of Orono until they learn how to follow the law for themselves. Turbine Guy, signing off.